Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shemate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Maline Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtatar Satanine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, excuse me 1 minute. I've just got to change my glasses. Finally got a new pair of reading glasses, so I don't have to look through bifocals here.
I think we are on number 4.
4, yeah.
4.
4, yes, 4. Okay. There we go. There's 4. Wow, so good to have nice new glasses. Everything seems clear. Okay, so someone would like to begin with text 4. Welcome, other devotees just joined us. Welcome, Mother Chandravali just joined us.
Hare
Krishna, Hari Bol. Mother Sita Vallabhi, welcome, Hare Krishna. Okay.
I can read.
Yeah, thank you, Mother Mangalatika.
4, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Sarvayanishu Kanteya Murteya Sambhavantiya Tasambrahma Mahadyunir Aham Bija Pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of the material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest, where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth there are living entities, even within the water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So the beginning of this chapter, I think we mentioned also last week, Krishna's just giving a complete picture of the situation. So when he says by birth in this material nature, that means the 3 modes of material nature. Yeah. So everything in material nature is constituted of the 3 modes. So that's another way of saying the material nature is the 3 modes of material nature. But we are not born of that. In one sense we are, but actually we're coming from a different source. And that's what's mentioned here. It's quite common sense, isn't it? You have, if you look at material nature as being the mother and Krishna being the seed-giving father. Yeah. So just like the father gives the seed into the womb of the mother. So it's quite an easy explanation to actually grasp. So in the same way, the jivas are injected by dint of their past deeds in a specific womb. Yeah. And that glance is there's more detailed descriptions of this. Here, Krishna's given a summary. If you want more detailed descriptions, then you're going to look in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, that glance is said to be Lord Shiva is said to be that glance. And it does get there's quite lots of detail. Yeah, but just in essence, Krishna is a seed-giving father. So this line is a nice, simple line to try to remember. Aham bija pada pitaha. So pita means father. Yeah. Pita. Yeah. Bija pada. So I am the seed-giving father. Yeah, he's the original seed. That's another mystery, isn't it? Do you ever, when we was young, you ever just try and figure out, you see see an acorn tree, or you see an acorn that comes off a great big tree. So then what comes first? The acorn or the acorn tree? Or what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You heard it described in that way? Kind of chicken or the egg, what can come? Right, so the first is Krishna. Krishna is that seed-giving father. Yeah, he is the seed-giving father of all species of life. Yeah, that's not Brahma. Lord Brahma creates the situation. He's the one who amalgamates the elements which are manifesting from Krishna. So like he's the engineer that puts everything in a specific form, in a specific way. And that's Lord Brahma. But everything that Lord Brahma's using is coming from Krishna. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So let's read text 5. So this is just introducing the subject of the three modes of material nature. So gradually Krishna's going to create a very clear picture. So can everyone remember last week when we read the first purport? One particular interesting things in that first purport, what this chapter describes? You can look if you want, you can cheat. It described, anyone can see that? I can look let's go back. I just want to point this out because I think it's very important. Just this here. But there's a few things. This knowledge is the most important, and we mentioned why that is so. But here, now in this chapter, the Supreme Lord describes what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. Remember we spoke about that. How can something material give liberation? So that's described. That's going to be described in this chapter. Okay, let's have a look at text 5. A short verse, and now we're going to hear directly about the modes. Someone like to read this short one? Sattvam Vararastama iti.
I can read.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibandanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjun, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Purport. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress.
Okay.
Thanks.
So how do we become conditioned?
Just by contact.
Yeah, I was just
going to say
yeah,
that.
yeah, well done. Yeah. Just it's a similar verse. Purusha prakriti sto he punkti pakuti dangunam gunugun sat satsya sat sat yonijamashu. The living entity, material nature, follows the ways of life, enjoying the free modes of material nature. This is due to his contact with that material nature. This is due to his contact with that material nature. Thus, he takes birth in various species of life. Yeah. So each species of life has a predominant mode. Yeah. So as we understand, according to our contact with that material nature, then we take birth accordingly. Yeah. Is that clear? Yeah. So it doesn't take much to be conditioned. Just by it, just like it doesn't take much to get wet if you jump in a swimming pool. You're going to get wet. So it doesn't take much to get conditioned. You're just in this material world. Everything is composed and made of the three modes of material nature. So unless you're transcendental, then you're going to be affected. And sure, we can, probably even devotees who've been practicing many years, but we definitely still feel the pushings of the modes of material nature. We can feel ourselves sometimes helplessly forced to act according to the mode of passion. So hopefully that's why it's we have the regulative principles that we follow. So our way of life is sattvic. So if we're following the regulative principles, then we're going to be somewhat protected. Somewhat protected because we're not going to be completely protected because we're not transcendental. But at least we're going to be able to remain somewhat steady on the path of Krishna consciousness. So this is how we become conditioned.
Yes, even if we take shelter of a guru and follow his orders cent per cent, we still get under the modes. There's some kind of mode you
Yeah.
get into.
Yeah, there used to be one, remember Raghunath, Prabhupada disciple? He used to give classes in Soho Street, Raghunath Prabhu. He's passed away now.
Oh.
He used to say, down in the modes of the frogs and the toads. He used to speak about the devotees. That was his main subject. Well, was the devotees being affected by material nature and how it manifests within a temple or within a devotee community. That will be his. And anyone know where in the Srimad Bhagavatam it speaks about devotional service in the three modes of material nature?
Yeah.
11,
No, come down a few numbers.
9.
Down a few more.
I am just thinking of those cantos.
Lord Kapila
Oh, yes.
in the third canto.
Devahuti.
Yeah, so he gives symptoms of devotional service in a mode of ignorance, the mode is devotional service in a mode of passion, devotional service in a mode of goodness. Yeah. So if I can remember the mode devotional service in a mode of ignorance, where one is susceptible to anger. Just that's all I can remember for now, but well, we can know from experience, Anger, the mode of passion is a separatist interest where you're not actually working for the pleasure, you're not actually serving for the pleasure of the Lord, but you're serving to fulfill your own material desires. That's devotional service in a mode of passion, just to satisfy yourself. Then the mode of goodness means that you're doing it, as Mother Rajkishore said, or we should be doing it. We should be following the instructions of the spiritual master. And that's in the mode of goodness. Then there's transcendence, which is doing it inspired by pity, doing it inspired by love and affection. But yes, you're right, Maharaj Kishore, isn't it? We have to, and that's why this chapter is very interesting because it helps us to cultivate the mode of goodness. Because you have to hear what is the mode of goodness, and then we can cultivate it. But it's also, actually, you're right, Mother Chandravali, it is mentioned about the three modes of material nature also in Canto 11. It is there as well, actually. Yeah, Lord Krishna's teaching to Uddhava. Yeah. Okay, then there's, yeah. Did you just read number 6? Was that one we just read, or number 5?
Number 5. Say 6 now.
Okay, number 6. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the living entity, because he's transcendental, actually has nothing to do with the material nature. That's always a mystical thing when we read that, isn't it? Especially when we experience how much we're controlled by material nature. And then we read that actually, as souls, we have nothing to do with material nature. That means something's gone wrong somewhere. We made some mistake. That means we forgot we're soul and we think we're the body. So therefore, we forget our transcendental nature. We have lost touch with our transcendental nature. So we're trying to come in touch with it again. Yeah. Still, because he's become conditioned. And this word spell, yeah, we're under a spell. Yeah, just like a magician. You've seen these people, I have my doubts about it, but persons who can they put persons into what they call it, into a coma, not a coma exactly, but they put them into a trance. What you seen them do it? Where they invite like 20 people on stage.
Yeah, hypnotists.
Yeah, hypnotists. Yeah, they put them. I don't know if it's a bogus thing or not. I don't know, but sometimes it looks
They
quite.
can make them like do things and say things, and
Yeah, hypnotism.
like you can say like you're an elephant and they will think they're an elephant.
Yeah, actually, I don't want to go off the track here, but I was reading David Mutamaj's book, Searching for Vedic India, something like that. And he describes these different things like hypnotism and how sometimes it's used in different defense ministries in Russia, and they do research into it. So they had this one person who was well known to be very powerful, and he could tell people to do things which they should or didn't want to do, just by his power of hypnotism. And it was proven. And what they did is they told him to go into this bank, just as an experiment. And they told him to ask the bank clerk to give him like 50 million rubles in a bag. So he did. He went into the bank. He 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 asked his bank teller to give 50 million rubles, and he did. He put it all in a suitcase and he gave it to him. And then when he found out afterwards what he'd done, he actually fainted. He was so shocked. Anyway, true story. David Mutamaj put it in his book. But anyway, back to the point here is that as persons are hypnotized by a hypnotist, so we are hypnotized by this material energy. Yeah. We are in a spell. No, we're in a spell. We've been hypnotized. So we have to come out of it. That's called Krishna consciousness. Okay, let's have a peek into text 6. Krishna's going to develop this subject even more. Okay, I can read this one. Tatra Sattvam Nimalavat Pakashakam Anammayam Shuka Sangena Bhatnati Kana Sangena Chanakaha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Okay, so take note of that. One becomes conditioned. Yeah, it's the best condition to get, but still you're conditioned. Let me just. And Prabhupada will explain that in the purple. The living entities conditioned by material nature are various types. One is happy, obviously goodness. One is very active, passion, and one is helpless, ignorance. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in nature. So it's psychological. So the mind is affected by the modes of material nature. Yeah. So psychological. So the condition. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. Man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries. And he has this, now this is speaking of material life here. It's not speaking about spiritual life, it's speaking about material life. So even if a materialist wants to be happy, if he does things which are sattvic, if he lives a sattvic life, if he or she lives a sattvic life, then they can be what's described here. You know, then they won't be so much affected by the material miseries. But as the chapter describes, it's very difficult for one to maintain the mode of goodness. Anyway, that will be described later. Yeah, a man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. So, Prabhupada's taken it a bit further here. So he's speaking about typical brahmana. So they will be engaged in some type of ritualistic rituals. So also without that, mode of goodness means you're interacting nicely with people and the world. So you're going to be free from sinful reactions. So you're going to experience a natural sense of well-being. Now there's a difficulty that's described here. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in a mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. So it doesn't need to read Bhagavad Gita. Remember, we spoke about this before, isn't it, Louis? No sense of urgency to escape the cycle of birth and death. You know, one's got it down, one's got his material life is comfortable, etc. So the best examples are the scientist and philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge. And because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. Okay? So they teach philosophy at Cambridge. They got a nice house in Cambridge. You know, they're parts, you know, they join the local bowls club. You know, anyway, you get the picture. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness. And as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Okay? Sometimes we approach people with Prabhupada books and Prabhupada's books when on the book distribution. They say, no, I'm set, mate. I've got it sorted. I'm set in life. Yeah. You're not, sir. You're going to be dying. Okay. Any questions, comments to that, or?
I'm thinking the same. You're talking about materialist people. Also, the same applies to trying to be devotees.
Yes.
You know, you like comfortable with your position, services, association, going to programs or this and that. But you then are at that level when you're just going to be comfortable being in that situation, not making any other, not praying and not making any other extra effort to move up a step.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned before. Yeah, and that's the this is the one that this often is a particular mode that devotees have to contend with. because devotees are very intelligent and they know how to live in the world. Especially, they're situated, hopefully they're following some type of virtues and principles and they're careful how they interact with people, and they know how to, you could say they've got it down, so to speak, at least some. But yeah, you're right, Baba Chandravali. And I think we've highlighted that a few times, especially in our reading of the Sankirtan Kumudi. Hopefully that Maharaj really
Yeah.
focused on not being
Yeah.
satisfied, always going forward. Yes, Mangala.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yes, that's true, because devotees can get comfortable. I think it's like a test from Krishna, or Maya gets in the way and makes you think Krishna consciousness is like you feel comfortable, but actually you should be afraid of feeling comfortable, because I find that when you're comfortable, you think, oh, I'm in danger now, because I can easily like drift away into Maya, because that sense of comfort is like it's quite dangerous to your devotional life.
Yeah,
Because when Krishna is active in your life, you don't feel comfortable at all. You actually feel the opposite. You feel very uncomfortable, because Krishna doesn't want you to be comfortable. I mean, you need certain things, like you need like some shelter and food and all of that, but you have to see it like this is like just a means to an end. I just need this food to like sustain my life so I can be Krishna conscious. I just need this shelter so I can chant my rounds without disturbance. Um, but yeah, I find that that's very true. That comfort thing is
yeah. You're creating a very good picture. Yeah. So, what I was going to say, you're creating a very good picture. So, I lost. I was going to say something, just passed my mind. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly. We have to be. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so we should. Yeah, we want to be. Yeah, that was it. Came to me. Yeah, sometimes we're just happy to be religious. Yeah, in one sense we are religious, but we want. But this is kind of when it speaks in the Vedas about persons who are happy with just they're satisfied with their religious practices and they're not becoming detached from the material world. They're kind of attached to their specific situation. So we have to go beyond just that's what Dharma, Sarva Dhammam Pratyaja. We have to give up all these principles of mundane religiosity.
and also when you're comfortable and you get a upheaval of some sort, your faith gets really tested, because you think, why did Krishna do this to me? Like everything's going nicely, and then something awful happens.
Yeah,
A lot of people, my Guru Maharaj said, a lot of people like lose faith at that stage. They might stop chanting because like everything's going well, and then something terrible happens. Like,
yeah,
somebody in family dies or something, and it's such a catastrophe that they were so comfortable before, and now it's a disaster, and they kind of blame Krishna.
yeah. It can be like that's why it's so important to be developing transcendental knowledge. It's so important to be hearing Srimad Bhagavatam on a daily basis if one can, because we are always reminded in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the temporary nature of the material world. And there's so many accounts there describing the transient nature of the material world. So sometimes devotees may not have strong sadhana and they've lost touch with the actual philosophy. It was called Sambandha Gyan. They've lost touch with what it means about the material nature. So as you're mentioning, they're all suddenly overcome and surprised. But someone, if we're regularly hearing Prabhupada's lectures, we're really regularly hearing, we're regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then a vast part of the Bhagavatam is described very graphically the miseries of this material existence. Yeah, so Krishna doesn't like sure, we can all tell our own specific personal stories, how something seems to happen, something seems to happen. There's always something which seems to be going down, which is kind of on our mind, which is not allowing us to be comfortable, which is good because Krishna doesn't, Krishna wants us to go back to the spiritual world more than we want, more than what we want to go. So sometimes, as Mother Lavanga Lataka is saying, it's devotees who don't have enough transcendental knowledge, enough faith, then unfortunately they may step back. They generally don't step back, they still maintain some, faith somewhat in Krishna consciousness, but they just give up the progressive path, and it takes on different forms, many different forms. And so being uncomfortably, the other day, being uncomfortably comfortable. But don't worry, no matter how comfortable we get, we're going to be uncomfortable. Just this body is made to be uncomfortable at a certain point. Yeah, it's going to stop working. It's going to stop functioning. And that's the gift of old age as well. It helps to remind the jiva that you ain't going to be here much longer. And you get telltale signs, isn't it? You're told your vulnerability is shown just by this material body. So, and that's Krishna's, that's good. Any other points on this? All right, we've got a good clear picture of the mode of goodness, and we highlighted there how the mode of goodness may affect a devotee. So let's hear about the mode of passion. Someone like to read text 7?
I can read.
Go ahead, yeah. Thank you. If you can have a go at the verse, the Sanskrit verse, go ahead. Someone said they would read.
Rajorajatmakam vidhi Trishna sanga samudbhavam tan nibandhnati kaunteya karma samgena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings for some and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Okay. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced conditions was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
Thank you, Mother. So, what to speak of those entangled in the mode of passion? So, I mean, we were speaking about a comfortable or a steady, situated family situation. We think that's mode of goodness, but actually, according to this paragraph, it's a mode of passion. He's happy to have a happy family with nice children, wife and house, etc. if one is just thinking of that, if that is the only goal in one's life, then that's a mode of passion. There's nothing wrong with having a happy family, nice children, etc., whatever it may be. But we shouldn't think that's the goal of life. All these things are temporary. But in human society, Prabhupada is saying here in this purple, mainly that's the goal of that is the focus. Pumsa Suryani Matini Pumsa Suryani Matini Bhavam, the attraction between male and female, and the whole of material creation, or the whole of the material world, is considered to be advanced in the standard of mode of passion. I mean, here in central London, you can get a taste of that. Not where you can see it very clearly is the mode of passion. Yeah. I'll just let you know that for those who are living in London or New York makes London seem like a little country village. New York's really intense. I mean, I've been living in London my whole life. When I went to New York and stayed there, my God, it's really intense. Much more. It's like, it's like makes London seem in a mode of goodness. So passionate. More intense, really intense. The energy is so heavy, it's so intense. The whole city is vibrating practically, of passionate activity. Yeah, so this is material civilization, so-called civilization. Yeah. It's like today we was on Oxford Street and I was just saying to Shinkovacharya who was walking down Oxford Street. I was seeing the shops and I was thinking that in the past, say 200 years ago, 100 years ago, 300 years ago, persons would perhaps live in a village, live in a town, perhaps there'd be a bakery, perhaps there'd be a grocer's shop, 3 or 4 shops or something like that. Life was quite simple, and the choices you had wasn't much. The basics were met, isn't it? You might go to a baker's, a bits of bread and the milk you might get delivered classically. So life was but now there's so many different products, so many billions and trillions of products to inspire you in a desire. So many things for you to buy. So you can, so many material desires. People are fed with so many, the kind of tempted with so many different things just in one shopping street. There must be thousands of ways millions of ways, millions of products to fulfill and it's getting more and more and more. Like America's like that. The shops are just full of so much stuff. So people are not happy because the nature of desire, especially mode of passion, that you can never be satisfied. That the more you have, then the more you want. When you get to a certain plateau, it opens up another opportunity of what you can get. Then you get to that plateau and there's more opportunity to get. And in the meantime, in this pursuit, you're losing sense of your own soul. You're losing your sense of your own spiritual sense of wealth, your own spiritual sense. So you think you're happy. See, that's the illusion. People think they're happy by actually getting these material products. But you cannot be happy. Anyway, it's the mode of passion. This is a modern civilization. Prabhupada says here, modern civilization is advanced to the standard of the mode of passion. Yeah, as I said, like formerly, the advanced condition considered to be the mode of goodness. That's what I was saying, like 200 years ago, perhaps. Then life was a lot more simple. But now, it's not so. In some places, I must admit, some places there might be more quieter places. Any other comments or questions on this? So we have to be careful because we can be easily affected by this because we're not liberated souls. we can be easily affected by this. Easily. Like you may have everything you need at home. You know, you got 6 pairs of shoes, you got, I don't know, so you got 50 saris, you got everything you need. You got all the clothes you need for the rest of your life. But then when you go shopping, because millions of people are shopping, everyone's buying things, then you're going to, oh, I have to buy something. Why? Well, I have to buy something because everyone's buying something. You ever done that? You gone shopping and you buy something you actually don't need. You know, you actually don't need it. But why do you buy it? Well, because everyone else is buying stuff. So then you buy stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on about this, but that's why it's a great you know, if you want to buy something in the super, like say if you want to go, say if you need some milk in the supermarket, you're doing very well if you make it out the supermarket with a just milk. You should give yourself a round of applause if you make it out the supermarket with just what you needed. You know, you're actually, if you do that, you're a great mystic. Because they have a whole psychological thing, especially at the tills. You've seen when you get to the till, there's all these little temptation, little snacky bars and sweets just for you. Oh, let me. And that's how they're designed actually. Supermarkets, the basic things that you need for everyday milk or things like that, or they're put right at the back of the store. So you have to walk through all the aisles, you have to walk through all the, 50 types of chocolate, 100 types of different fizzy drinks. You have to walk through the whole lot to get what you want, you know. And sometimes you ever notice what they do? They sometimes every 6 months or every year, then they change everything around. So you have to walk in other directions to find what you want, just so they can tempt you. So just keep that in mind. Supermarkets are designed to get you to buy things that you don't need or don't want. They're designed that way. So you might go just to buy some dates and you come out with a whole bag of shopping. What happened? Well, I got tempted. So this is mode of passion.
I work that out. What you do is,
Yeah, go on, you got it worked.
You have your shopping list,
Yeah.
and then make sure you have nice prasad, mahaprasad, sweet, mahaprasad, this, whatever. Eat before you go, and you don't even think of anything.
Yeah.
You had mahaprasad cake, or you've had mahaprasad kachori or something, and you just sail around and do your shopping to it out,
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you're well fed,
Yeah.
You don't look at anything else,
Yeah. Yeah, like today I was in a shop as well, and the mother managed to control herself, but she had children with her. And the children were grabbing crisps and everything and throwing them in the basket. Mother was stressing out, and then she gave in the end, and okay. Anyway, we can look at this. This is, we look at this is what the material world about. It's about it means it's there to distract you from the goal of life. So Bhagavatam speaks again and again of keeping things simple, having a simple way of life so that you can concentrate on the most important thing and don't get sidetracked, and because that's the mode of passion. Right, let's hear about, now these are just summary. Krishna's given a quick summary of the modes here. He'll go into more detail. So now we're going to hear about the mode of ignorance. Someone like to read this one?
Which one is it now?
Number 8. Any readers out there?
I can read.
Go ahead. Thank you. Babakumari Priya. Thank you.
O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is a delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. In this verse, the specific application of the word two is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of a mode of goodness. In a mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is that, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of a mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is that. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of a mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yata tmya jana varakam vipa raya jana janakam tamaham. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see what his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children, what he conceives, will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like a man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in a mode of ignorance is what he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in a mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. Those are symptoms of a person conditioned in mode of ignorance.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this or comments or reflections?
I got like about 6 hours sleep, It's like it says ignorance, but sometimes health-wise we need more sleep.
Yeah, there is another place actually where Prabhupada gives you an extra hour. He says 6 or 7 hours. Another place. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. So we have to be intelligent, and we shouldn't be artificially something, because we shouldn't be, we have to do what we need to do, but we should just keep in mind, that we make sure that we're not falling into because gradually we're sleeping more and more and more and more. But yeah, if we need, like, yes, the last 2 days I was so busy with the teaching we're doing here. It was very demanding. I was going to 8 o'clock at night all day, so I had to sleep in this morning. I had to sleep in. I think I had about nearly 7.5 hours. So yeah, you are correct, Mother Kumara Priya. Sometimes the nature of our work, it might mean sometimes that we might need more than 6 hours, or our health, we might be somewhat sick, so we need more. So we have to apply our intelligence here, and how to we have to use our intelligence. Okay, any other comments on that? But definitely we don't want to end up sleeping. Prabhupada says here, how many hours? 12 hours, 10 hours. Yeah. Yeah. And if you notice, the classic type of person I see in the mode of ignorance, which really personifies the mode of ignorance often, is the see persons who are living rough on the street. There's all different types of people living rough, but a lot of them, you can notice they all share the same characteristics, very similar characteristics. Most of them are unclean. I guess they've got nowhere to clean, but a lot of them don't make an effort. They're all the same character, the same type of characters. Often they're haunted by ghosts, and they've got very they're like Prabhupada says here, everyone under the spell of mode ignorance becomes mad. Without being too critical, I know there's different situations, different causes why why they've ended up in that situation. And some maybe kind of, even though they're in that situation, they're trying to make the best of it and trying to be somewhat clean. But at least here in central London, you see a lot of the homeless people, they're very maddened. Yeah. They become very degraded as well, very mad and degraded. It's mode of ignorance under Pacific spell. So it's very dangerous. Elsewhere, it mentions that this mode is very dangerous. That's what can lead to the lowest species of life, or take birth as, or disembodied beings. So yeah, we definitely want to avoid the mode of ignorance. Okay.
Can I ask,
Yes, please.
in your experience, is any, like you were saying, homeless person become a devotee in London?
No, I've seen a few, at least I've seen a few take some interest in Krishna consciousness, but they don't quite make it, at least from my experience. There's one boy who was coming and he was homeless and he was coming. He was making friends with devotees, but then his conditioning was too much. He had too many, he had too many kind of say disembodied beings. He was too maddened. He'd gone too far, but he had an interest, but he couldn't make it really. And now you see him on the street, and he's the type of person you have to cross the street. He's really gone. Yeah, he's really gone crazed. He's become completely crazed. So I haven't seen it. I'm not saying that hasn't happened, and I'm sure there are examples where it has, where persons have been destitute and homeless. And I mean, I know actually one friend of mine, he's a godbrother, and he came from he was one of these druggies who would beg for money on the street. He was doing heroin and he was begging for money on the street, he was living on the streets, and he became a devotee. So it does happen.
Prabhu, I just remembered, you remember the lady who lived in the ashram for some time? She used to live in Primrose Hill under a tree or something.
Yeah, did she become temple commander? Was that?
She no, it was another lady, and then when things got comfortable, then she left.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mother Bangladesh. That I've seen. I saw that with one particular lady. She came from a semi-destitute, homeless. She was hanging around with a little gang of homeless people and drunk on the street. She started coming to the temple, and she showed an interest, and she joined the temple. So she's waking up early. She's taking a shower. She has a regulated life. So she got herself together, and she became, and she got initiated, and she was temple commander, and then she left because she got herself back to a somewhat sane situation, and she went out back into material. But to stay in a temple did her good, because she managed to maintain a civilized life. She went out and she got herself a job. And the job she had, sometimes used to see her, she was working on the tourist buses, in central London where they do these tours.
Do you talk about Alma, Prabhu?
Yeah, that's
Ah.
I think
What is your guru? I can't remember.
I think it's Jai Pataka Swami.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got initiated. So yeah, that's a good point, Mother Lavangalatika. That's but then in the next life, they will come further because of their contact with devotees in this life. Then because of their conditioning is quite deep, and they're not able to overcome it and kind of take up devotional life. But still, that will go to their eternal benefit. And in the next life, they'll be attracted to devotees. So there's no loss or no diminution. And they have that story that Indra Maharaj tells of this devotee. What was the nickname they gave him? He was like a mad and tramp type person. anyway, he tells it quite dramatically, where he used to smell. He didn't wash, but he became attracted to the devotees and to the temple and to the devotees, and it was a bit of an embarrassment because he never washed and he was a little bit, he couldn't even speak properly. He was so kind of maddened by the material energy, but he was attracted to the devotees. And then one day Prabhupada came to the temple in Los Angeles. I'll think of his name in a minute. I had this name for him. And then he ran out from the bushes and he dived at Prabhupada's feet. He grabbed hold of Prabhupada's feet, save me, save me, save me, like this. And Prabhupada and all devotees were horrified. Here's this boy, he hasn't washed in 4 or 5 years. He's mad. He cannot speak properly. He's dirty. And he's grabbing hold of Prabhupada's feet. And he's crying. He's crying. He's got Prabhupada's feet and he's crying. Prabhupada, please to save me. And Prabhupada's rubbing his head, going, that's all right, that's all right. And he's rubbing his head. And because of that, the devotees allowed him to live in the ashram. Then at some point, he asked Indraduma Maharaj if he could come out on Sankirtan, because he used to see all the devotees would pile in the van on Sankirtan and come back really blissful. So then he also wanted to join them. And so he joined them. So he went on book distribution, and when he started distributing books, he completely transformed. He became completely obsessed with preaching and book distribution. I think so. I think of his name in a minute. It's a story that Indra Maharaj tells about an hour-long story of this one particular person and how he became a devotee. So there are many stories like that. Then we have the story. What's a classic story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of some debauchees who became great devotees?
Jagai and Madha.
Jagai and Madha, yeah. Now they were serious. They were seriously sinful people. Yeah, but they got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, just like Prabhupada gave the mercy to this person. Then they got the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So by the mercy of devotees, anyone can become purified. All right, so good to finish on a positive. Okay. All right, let's pause there. I'm going to go back downstairs and see how Tripad's getting on in learning to worship Gaunitai. And so thank you for joining us. We have hopefully we'll be able to get together on Wednesday for Brihat Bhagavatamrita. We shall confirm that, but hopefully it should be okay. Okay. So don't forget, devotees, here's some homework. Here's a bit of a test. Next time you go shopping, write what you need on the list and see if you can make it out with just what you need. Yeah, and see, okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hari
Lord
Bol,
of
Prabhu.
Premanandi, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.